Infanticidal Virginia Governor Ralph Northam is in trouble because he appeared in a racist picture in his 1984 med school yearbook. The Democrat governor, who believes babies should be left to die if you don't want them, apologized for being in the photo, which shows one person in blackface and one in a Ku Klux Klan outfit. Northam apologized for the photo, saying, quote, "From now on, I promise to kill babies without dressing up in offensive costumes," unquote. Although it's unclear whether Northam was the Klansman in the photo or the blackface guy, Democrats scrambled to condemn the baby killer for his racist med school hijinks. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand called for Northam's resignation, saying, quote, "The Democrat Party is the party of killing children, not the party of the Ku Klux Klan." Well, okay, it's also the party of the Ku Klux Klan, but not recently. Now we just do the whole baby killing thing without the sheets over our heads. The governor must resign so we can stop being distracted by our racist past and go forward into the future with the good work of slaughtering America's children, unquote. Other Democrat spokesmen tried to cover for Northam. CNN, for instance, reported that Northam was a Republican, hoping this would deflect blame from their party. The ruse failed, however, when viewers managed to identify Northam as a Democrat by his Klan outfit. Democrat Cory Booker, who recently managed to declare he was running for president without anyone noticing, also made a comment, but nobody noticed that either. Something about this being a moral moment and how much he likes gladiator movies, I don't know. Tom Perez, the grand dragon of the Democrat Party, told a gathering of Democrats, also known as a press conference, quote, "I really feel caught in the crossfire, and I literally mean a cross on fire." Sorry, that's a Democrat joke from the old days. I guess it's sort of inappropriate now, unquote. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shaped ipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
Psychopathic ideas make sane men do crazy things. That's the price of having a philosophy that makes no sense. I made a lot of conservatives angry during the Obama years by defending Barack Obama from the charge that he was evil. The people who said Obama was evil, to my mind, were spoiled Americans who never saw what evil looks like when it's in power. Here's a hint, there are an awful lot of dead bodies. Obama wasn't evil at all. But because his socialist and multicultural ideas made no sense and weren't in keeping with reality, he did crazy things with evil consequences, like strengthening this terrorist state of Iran and abridging our precious American freedoms through the abuse of regulatory agencies. Likewise, the Democrat Party. In seeking a non-existent sort of equality among human beings, Democrats are trying to declare a world that has no qualities at all. They want to pretend that all religions are equal, so they ignore the fact that some religions are actually more wise and moral than others. They want to pretend there's no such thing as the state of being a woman or a man, because that's unfair and unequal. Therefore, they have to believe that pregnancy can have no consequences and can be eradicated by a simple medical procedure with no moral meaning. They want to pretend that all outcomes would be equal in a perfect world, and therefore they have to pretend that anyone who believes in freedom, which will always result in unequal outcomes, must be a bigot. And therefore they've turned racism from a stupid and evil philosophy into a mythic monster hiding under every bed. The Democrats aren't evil, but their ideas are false and are leading them down evil, crazy paths, psychopaths. We'll talk more about that in a second, but first, take a look at this face. Take a look at this head. Do you want to look like this? Of course not. You want to go to Hair Club. Hair Club knows what it feels like to lose your hair. So do I. And they're inviting you to become part of the Hair Club family to see how getting the most out of your hair can change your life. Please use this and let me know. Hair Club is the leader in total hair solutions with a legacy of success for over 40 years. Whether you're looking to revitalize the growth of your own hair or to learn more about the latest proven methods for hair replacement or restoration, Hair Club's professionally trained stylists, hair health experts, and consultants will craft a personalized solution to ensure you feel your best and get the most out of your hair. And next on the copy, it says, please use real-life examples of your own experience with Hair Club. Look at me. Have I had experience with Hair Club? No. You want to have them. If you're a new client, just dial asterisk 004 from your mobile phone, and we'll shoot you a text to schedule your free hair health and scalp analysis with one of our hair health professionals. It couldn't be easier. Dial *004 from your mobile phone today to set your appointment and receive your free take-home hair kit and $250 off qualifying services. Experience your hair and your life at its best only with Hair Club. You'll love it. Let me know how it is. Right? Let me know what it's like to live a full, happy, exuberant, confident life, because I have no idea. All right, we've got Michael Knowles coming on. We're going to talk football, because, Knowles was a linebacker, I think, wasn't he? Oh, no, he was actually the football. They used him as the ball. He's the star of Another Kingdom. Please go on Amazon.com and pre-order the novel Another Kingdom. It's out in March. It would really help if you would order a copy today, and I think you'll get some goodies for it if you keep the receipt. One of the things that the Democrat Party is making clear is that people like me, who were absolutely shocked by Donald Trump when he first came down the pike and opposed him with everything, we're not seeing something, we're missing something that the people saw. The people, after being berated and abused by the left, understood that they were undermining our traditions and our ideas, and just the traditions of sanity and ideas, in ways that were so bad that it was going to take somebody like Donald Trump, somebody as amazingly off base as Donald Trump, to stop them. I didn't see that until he actually became president and started doing, I think, a good job. I don't always like him, but I think he has done a pretty good job. But the people saw this before the intellectuals. Let me talk about Ralph Northam. This whole thing, I'm sure you've heard. They found a right-wing site found his medical school yearbook, and he was in there, apparently, we will say, posing in a picture. There was a guy in blackface and a guy standing next to him in a Klan outfit. There's the picture if you're watching, and we'll get into his whole excuses and everything like this. And I want to say something about this first. Dressing up as a Klansman, I was alive. This was back in the 80s, 25 years ago. He was, I guess, 25. It's more than 25 years ago, right? It's like 35 years ago. It's back in the 80s. Doing this, it was offensive then. It was offensive, stupid. I myself feel like people should be allowed to do offensive, stupid things and recover. Everybody is saying this is the terrible thing he did. For me, the terrible thing is calling for babies to be left to die if you don't want them. And on the least excuse, that was the law they wanted to pass in Virginia and didn't, but kind of like the law they did pass in New York. When he said that, I thought that should have been the end of his career. I thought 2 police officers should have come in, picked him up as advocating child murder and carried him away. This, I'm sorry. If people cannot be jerks, as I know a med student who took a severed hand from a cadaver and left it at a toll booth, okay? Handed it to the guy in the toll booth. Med students get up to hijinks. They're working 100 hours a day. They're going crazy. They're sticking their hands in dead bodies all day long. They go a little nuts. I don't know. Is he a racist? You tell me. I don't think he's a racist. However, he is a hypocrite. He has been dishonest since this happened, and he is, an infanticidal maniac in his philosophy. So I just want to put that out there. I feel that what the right has done is we've been hit. The left hits us on racism no matter what we say. Oh, we want to protect our borders, you're a racist. Oh, we think, people should be free, you're a racist. We think welfare is not such a good idea, it destroys families, you're a racist. So everything, oh, you said this, you're a racist. You put this in this way. We're not even going to ask. Like when they tag Trump with being a racist, it's always for something that he said that could be interpreted another way, but they never ask. They never say, at Charlottesville, when you said there were good people on both sides, what were you talking about? Which both sides were you talking about? Because it's absurd to think he was talking about white supremacists and Nazis. He was obviously talking about the argument over statues and whether statues should be taken down. Not one reporter has asked. They've just posed in front of the camera and called him a racist. Not one. Somebody send me a name of one reporter who has said to him, could you clarify what you meant by that? They don't want to clarify. They just want to get him. So we hit back with this stuff. We start to say, oh, here's a picture you took in med school, and it is offensive. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying if people can't be offensive in their youth, the only people who will be run for office were not only just women, they will be the most prissy, uptight, humorless women imaginable. That's the only people who'll be able to run, because guys get up to a lot of hijinks in their youth, and that's part of being a guy, and boys will be boys. So first of all, this is exposed. Nobody found it before. They found every trace of what Brett Kavanaugh ever did, but somehow the Washington Post could not unearth this, because democracy dies in bloviating Super Bowl ads about how wonderful you are. They never found anything like this, completely, lost this. The Oppo research never came up with it. Now they come up with it. So the first thing he says, he comes out and he apologizes, and he admits that he's one of the people in the photos. He can't remember whether he's the Klansman or the guy in blackface. This is cut number 6.
My fellow Virginians, earlier today I released a statement apologizing for behavior in my past that falls far short of the standard you set for me when you elected me to be your governor. I believe you deserve to hear directly from me. That photo and the racist and offensive attitudes it represents does not reflect that person I am today, or the way that I have conducted myself as a soldier, a doctor, and a public servant. I am deeply sorry. I cannot change the decisions I made, nor can I undo the harm my behavior caused then and today. But I accept responsibility for my past actions, and I am ready to do the hard work of regaining your trust.
So he accepts responsibilities for a while. And we should mention, by the way, just talking about hypocrisy, this guy won an election over Ed Gillespie, the Republican, and we played the ad at the time. Remember, there was some Latino PAC after Gillespie said something about MS-13 gangs operating in Virginia. and said that this was a problem, we should take care of the border. A Latino PAC ran an ad. It wasn't Northam's campaign, but a PAC ran an ad in which a guy with a Confederate flag in a pickup truck and a Gillespie bumper sticker tried to run down minority children. He was going to drive over them, okay? And Northam never denounced the ad, and instead he actually kind of used the ad and said, accused Gillespie of racist rhetoric and fear-mongering. So this is a guy who has played the race card. He played the race card, remember, because of course Charlottesville is in Virginia. He played the race card against Trump when he said those things, those kind of insensitive and tone-deaf things that I don't believe were racist, but they were tone-deaf and insensitive, and he went after him for that. So he has been playing this a lot. So now, first he says, oh yes, I accept responsibility, and everybody's calling for him to resign, even Democrats, all the Democrats are calling for him to resign. Not so much responsibility, please.
Sit here and hypothesize or speculate how it happened, but I can only imagine that if there are a number of photos laid out on a table and someone is pasting those on page after page, that one could get mistakenly put on the wrong page. And as I said earlier, this has happened numerous times in this particular yearbook, and I suspect that's what happened in this case.
Governor, how do you expect people to believe you? Because yesterday you were accepting responsibility for this, and then within less than 24 hours you're saying, no, it wasn't me. You can find it hard to believe how that people are having a hard time, that people are having a hard time. Why should they believe?
I'm accepting responsibility that this photograph was on my page in the yearbook. I regret that. It is horrific. It made me sick when I saw it. But I will tell you that my word, I will stand and live by my word. I was the president of the VMI Honor Court. Our code there is a cadet shall not lie, cheat, steal, or tolerate those do. That's the most meaningful thing to me in my life. I tell the truth. I'm telling the truth today. That was not my picture.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you, because if I was in a picture like that, I would remember. And he said he was in it, and I just don't believe you would make a mistake about this. But here's the thing. Here's the thing I got to play. Just this one thing. He did admit that he was in blackface playing Michael Jackson and doing a moonwalk in some kind of performance. So clearly, this was something going on at the school. And a reporter asked him. His wife is standing next to him, and a reporter asked him, "Can you still do the moonwalk?" And he almost breaks into a moonwalk. Listen to this.
Still able to moonwalk?
Inappropriate circumstance.
My wife says inappropriate circumstances.
He's still the same jerk. He's still the same guy. He would have done it right there. He'd have put on blackface if his wife hadn't been standing next to him going, nah, don't do that. Don't, no blackface. Don't do that. It's inappropriate. It's like, I got to admit, that's why we have wives, because we're all kind of jerks. But like, the guy is still the same guy he was in med school. So like, he's having a hard time. People are calling for him to resign. He's digging in, which is not going to look a good look for the Democrat Party. But we'll get back to this in just a second. First, let us talk about Valentine's Day. I know Valentine's Day is going to come up, and if you're like me, you're suddenly going to go, what? The 14th? It's the what? Huh? Act now. Go to 1-800-Flowers. I do. They do a great job. And if you go now, 1-800-Flowers has amazing deals on vibrant, romantic Valentine rose bouquets, arrangements, and more, starting at just $29.99. There's so many unbelievable deals from 1-800-Flowers, but you have to hurry. Roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak and shipped overnight to ensure freshness and her amazement. I have used them again and again, and really, they come fresh. It's really, they do a great job. Gorgeous Valentine bouquets and arrangements starting at $29.99. It's an amazing deal, but it won't last long. So to order Valentine's bouquets, arrangements, and more starting at $29.99, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, and enter code Klavan. Order today and save at 1-800-Flowers.com, code Klavan. And I'm not going to make the joke I was going to make about how to spell Klavan, because we'll never have that sponsor again. But how do you spell Klavan? It's Klavan. My wife should be here going, that's inappropriate, isn't it? Inappropriate. Anyway, the guy is a complete buffoon, and like, you know, the way he handled this has been so bad. But what I love about it is it's really about, they will do anything to distract from the fact that they are baby-killing loons. They are baby-killing loons. They do not want to talk about it. Stephen Moore tried to bring this up on CNN. He tried to bring up the point that this comes right after his extremist abortion views. Listen to the CNN panel gang up on him and shut him down.
You want to talk about a politician who has had a bad week. I mean, you kind of didn't exactly report what happened this week when I think it was quoted as relaxed the abortion restrictions. I mean, this was basically a bill that he supported that literally almost literally allows an abortion up until the time you cut the umbilical cord.
This is not the point, Steve.
All I'm saying is that has really infuriated people.
That is what came out this week. I don't want to get into the debate about abortion. What he said was confusing.
But he's under assault for that, too. And I would make the case that was an even worse offense than this picture.
Okay. Well, now you just
Let's talk about no.
Steve, we're going to talk about the issue of racism, and I know you would like to divert the issue to a conversation that's more comfortable for you.
What's more comfortable, more about abortion than racism? What is he accusing Moore of being a racist? It's absurd. Why can't Moore say that you're trying to divert the conversation to something that is easy for you? And the reason is they blame the whole thing on Donald Trump. It's all Trump. Whenever it's not them being racist. It's them trying to set an example. This is what the New York Times said. They're setting an example. They're setting an example to Donald Trump. Watch us. We're going to get rid of Ralph Northam. That's the way you should be. You should get rid of yourself for your racist nonsense. Here is Brian Stelter pulling this on Howard Dean. It's just a wonderful, wonderful exchange. So much about it worth talking about. Let's listen to that.
I noticed you retweeted Obama-era healthcare administrator Andy Slavitt. He wrote this on Twitter. He said, if you've worn blackface or you've repeatedly said President Obama was born in Africa, you should resign. The point here is clear. It's a remark about President Trump's own racist history.
Right.
Do you see a double standard at play, Howard?
Oh, sure there is. They're on the Republicans. I mean, they have no morals at all. I mean, the Republicans are happy to ask Ralph Northam to resign. They have a much worse guy who's heading their party. It's ridiculous.
Republicans have no morals at all. It's the usual measured Howard Dean take on it. But I mean, the fact that Trump promulgated that whole birther nonsense, and it was nonsense, but I didn't think that was racist either. I thought Peggy Noonan pegged that when she said, it was just that Obama was not a typical American president. He didn't have the patriotism. He didn't believe in American exceptionalism. He went around apologizing for America to tyrants. He didn't feel like he was one of us, not because of the color of his skin, but because of the color of his patriotism. That's why. And that's why that Kenya thing made sense to a lot of people. It was not I don't believe racism. But the thing is, it's all about deflecting from the madness, the psychopathy of their philosophy. You know, you want to see a wonderful thing? Here's a wonderful moment in which Michael Moore tells the truth. The filmmaker Michael Moore goes on and says, we've got to stop with this being moderate. We've got to be extremist all the way.
If you're moderate, stop being moderate. Take a position, all right? There's no middle ground anymore. There's no halfway point to should somebody be paid a living wage. Well, I'm a moderate, so I think they could be paid half of a living wage. You know, on the issue of choice, there's no halfway there. You're either for it or you're against it. You know, do you believe in equal rights for women? Do you believe that we should have an equal rights amendment? Yes or no? There's no middle ground. This is no time for moderation.
He's absolutely right. There is no middle ground between killing a baby and not killing a baby. You can't sort of kill the baby. You can't a little kill the baby. You kill the baby or you don't kill the baby. Their philosophy has taken them to this place. It has taken them back to paganism, where they're going to start sacrificing children. He's absolutely right about this. And this is the thing that the left is scrambling to cover up, because this is what the biggest gun that Donald Trump has in his arsenal. You know, there was a piece by Andrew Sullivan in New York Magazine that was so wonderful, because Andrew Sullivan, I don't know if you remember, he's the writer, he's gay, and he kind of announced himself as a conservative, which was total nonsense. But he called himself a conservative, and he was the one who went crazy about whether Sarah Palin's child, Trig, was actually Sarah Palin's child. And I've always felt that the guy was a little bit loopy, and he had this kind of weird craziness that kind of swooped every now and again into something that sounded like common sense. So in New York Magazine, he has an article called The Nature of Sex, and he starts out talking about a radical feminist organization called the Women's Liberation Front that went on a panel to the conservative Heritage Foundation and argued that sex was fundamentally biological and not socially constructed, and they were given this is his words, given a rousing round of applause by the Trump supporters, religious right members, natural law theorists, and conservative intellectuals who comprised much of the crowd, because they were talking common sense. They were talking against something called the inequality of they were talking about the Equality Act. The Equality Act, which is a big thing that they're trying to get, where trans people will be treated as whoever they want to say they are. It's a federal non-discrimination bill that's been introduced multiple times in various ways, and would add gender identity to the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Here's the problem with this for gay people, and I'm going to use my own words, but this is basically what Andrew Sullivan says, is that if there is no such thing as gender, if gender is not a biological fact, then gay people cease to exist. What is a gay person? A gay man is a man who wants to sleep with another man. A gay woman, a lesbian, is a woman who wants to have sex, who is attracted to other women. If a guy can say that he's a woman and sleep with a woman, therefore be a lesbian, the meaning of lesbianism just disappears, because once you start talking nonsense, you get into a nonsensical world. I'm going to tell this old joke. This will probably get me in trouble, but I'm going to tell it anyway. Two gay guys standing outside Saks Fifth Avenue in New York, and a gorgeous, gorgeous woman walks out, and the two gay guys are riveted. They stand and they look at this beautiful, beautiful woman as she walks out, and she's classic New York, gorgeous model-like beauty. She gets into a cab, she swoops in the cab and disappears, and one gay guy turns to the other and says, "Wow, don't you sometimes wish you were a lesbian?" And the reason that's a funny joke is because it shows you that gender and preference are real things. Sex and preference are real things. They're part of people's personalities, and you can't just erase them. And once you do that, once the left wants to do that, even their own people start to disappear, just like the babies, just like the real lives of the babies start to disappear. Once you start talking nonsense, you don't have to be an evil person. You don't have to be an evil person to start doing evil things. You only have to accept ideas that do not make sense. That's why we should distinguish between a guy, classically like Hitler, who sets out to do something evil, like exterminate a race of people, and a guy like Barack Obama, who is in no way evil, but whose ideas don't work. It doesn't work to treat all cultures as the same. It doesn't make moral sense to apologize for a free nation to slave states like Saudi Arabia. That doesn't make sense. The other day, one of the new Muslim congresswomen said, well, we should treat everybody in the Middle East the same. And I thought, no, because this little country Israel, this little sliver of a country Israel, is a free country and these other countries are not. We should treat them very differently. The left has convinced themselves that in order for there to be equality, there must be no qualities. Nothing must have qualities that can be judged one from another. And so they've talked themselves into a nonsense that makes even their own condemnation of racism make no sense. They have really pushed their philosophy to the brink of evil. When they start talking about leaving babies to die, they're really at the brink of evil, and good people are following them over that cliff. You know, I'm going to end. I know I want to bring on Michael Knowles to talk about the Super Bowl. But before I do, I just want to play this one clip from our friends at Live Action. They took some women, interviewed them about their views on abortion, and then showed them a picture of abortion. And I asked that the videos of abortions be cut out, and we just put the women's reactions before and after they actually saw the abortion.
What are your thoughts about abortion?
Abortion, I'd rather no one. I don't really like abortion. I'd rather it didn't exist. I'm not very for abortion. But there are times when you do need abortion and it's up to that person and their rights and what they want to do.
I didn't know that you'd have to detach and crush and the process it goes through and all the risks that happens with this. So now that I do know, there's so many other options apart from abortion, and I know it sucks and like the consequences and how it happened and why you might want an abortion, but there's always another option, and you just got to suck it up because it's a life. I did think that rape was like an exception for an abortion, but now that you think of it, some people try so hard to conceive a baby and it's so hard and it doesn't happen. So you can always put your child up for adoption. There's always another option.
I think everyone should have a right to it. It's our body, it's our decision, right? So we want to go ahead with the pregnancy or to abort it. It should be solely on the person who's carrying the baby. So yeah, that's what I feel about it.
So would you both support abortion all the way up to the moment of birth?
Oh yeah, I do, yes. That was heart-wrenching, I guess. I mean, until you see something like that, you don't often think that you're going to change your opinion, right? I mean, that's something I would never want anyone to go through, right? Not myself, not her, not anyone. I'm a mom to one, right? And I had no idea this is how abortion takes place, right? Looking at that video and the way it was performed, it's an eye-opener. So no, I don't think any kid, any baby, any infant, any fetus should go through that. No.
That's from our friends at Live Action. It's an amazing video, but all it is confronting people. As long as you're following the psychopathic logic and going down the psychopath, you will get to a place where you say, oh yeah, abortion till the moment of birth. But once you look at the reality, once they put the reality in front of you, once people are allowed to argue back, suddenly it disappears. And that's why the left is always silencing people. It's always like, well, you can't say that because you're not a woman. You can't say that because you're not black. You can't say that because it's not politically correct. You can't say it because it's racist. You can't say it because it's sexist. They have to do it because their logic is psychopathic. And once you get to the reality of it, once you face the reality of it, it all falls apart. Hey, you know, we scheduled a backstage State of the Union, but Nancy Pelosi disinvited us, so we had to move it. But at long last, it is coming back. The Daily Wire God King, Jeremy Boring, Ben Shapiro, the original Michael Knowles, and me will be taking on all the pressing issues of the day. And as always, the lovely Alicia Krause will be classing up the joint as much as she possibly can. It's an uphill battle. Taking your questions as they roll in. Will we finally see Trump deliver the State of the Union? Tune in to find out. Only Daily Wire subscribers get to ask the questions. So go to dailywire.com and subscribe. It's a lousy $10 a month, $100 for the year, and you get the Leftist Tears tumbler, which hopefully you're going to need. We got Michael Knowles coming up to talk about the Super Bowl and football.